This video, I'm going to be showing you 3 quantum jumping techniques that changed my life, and I'm going to show you how you can apply these today and experience a quantum jump in your reality. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness.
Somewhere aggregate of all that is real or existent, as opposed to that which is merely imaginary.
Wow.
Would you like to hear more?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Siri. She said something about reality. And that's what we're talking about today, which is reality and how we can go and shift from one to another. But quantum, what that implies, quantum implies that there's a greater degree of change between one reality and another reality. So what I'm going to share with you are some things that I've learned in my own life that I've applied. And some of them are concepts about the way reality works. And I'm going to share this. I know I share this a lot, but think about it in the term of a film strip analogy. This makes it much easier for us to understand. Normally we think of everything as linear, when instead what we can begin to think of it as the only moment that exists is this moment right now. Imagine you have that of a film slide projector, and there is light being pushed through that of the projector, and then you see on the screen the different pictures. Now, in the way that each individual frame, we know that if we were to stretch it out, each individual frame is a completely separate frame, although if it goes quickly enough, it looks like one long fluid movement. If you were to edit this video right now, you would notice me going like this, and you could then stretch it out and see me go boom, 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 and they're all completely separate frames. Well, what we think of as time is the movement through different parallel realities. It's just that we have memory, and we've chosen to have a time-space experience in this life, so we have this continuity. But what we can begin to do is create a greater degree of change between where we are and, quote, where we want to be. Here's a cool idea. When we have this film strip analogy, we have that of one frame over here and then a future frame over here. That frame exists right now, just like the parallel reality version of you doing exactly what you want to be doing already exists. So the key is tapping into the frequency of that parallel reality that already exists, embodying it now in the present moment, and eventually through vibrational resonance, that becomes your reality. So that's one of the most powerful ways that I've understood it, and it's helped me to shift and create my own reality from the state that it already exists, so I don't have to try to create it in a way like think about it, create your own reality. Think about how much work that implies. When it already exists, it's just about vibrational resonance. Now, the first quantum jumping technique that I want to share with you has to do with simply having new expectations and having new assumptions. So every day we go out into the world, we have a certain assumption for how things work. We have certain expectations, and based on those expectations and assumptions, we can experience the same thing over and over and over again. Now, this is the way I use this. I use this when I used to work at Barney's, New York in women's shoes. I worked there for years. And I go in every day, and I worked with there were 7 people in the department usually, and I would work with like 1 or 2 people a day, other people. And you're around these people a lot, you know. There was this one guy that people always said had such a negative energy. But I remember that what I did is when I went into work, I just didn't accept that premise, even though I already knew him, and I was like, yes, he has some like negative tendencies, you could say. But what I decided to do is when I was going into work and I was around him, I just assumed and expected him to be positive. I didn't fall into the story that this person's very negative and this is how this person is. And by not allowing myself to have that story, what ended up happening is I went into work and he literally was not negative. So I changed my assumptions about him. It's almost like the way that we expect people to be, they're going to mirror back whatever that expectation is. If you change your expectations though, you then create that shift. You create a new version of that person. You bring the best out of that version too, so it helps to change them. But I've noticed this in many different areas of my life. There's certain people that you expect to be a certain way, but when you change your perception of them, you shift to a reality that is more in conductivity of that version that you have, that you expect them to be. An even more powerful paradigm is to actually not expect them to be anyway at all. It'd be like just having a curious mentality of like, I wonder how they're going to be. But it's hard because a lot of times it's hard because we have such expectations, such memory of people that when they do certain things, it triggers us. So one thing you could do is change your expectations and change your assumptions about the way things are, and go in and experience things as if it's your first time ever experiencing them. Because then you don't bring the past into the present. Most people are just living out their past. They're living out the consistent past over and over and over again, with their expectations over and over and over again. Therefore, they experience the same things over and over and over again. Have new assumptions. Have new expectations. I do that also with a lot of people in my life. If you haven't seen my Ho'oponopono meditation, you heal the aspects that you see in other people, you heal within yourself, and it transforms your outer reality. I've seen other people heal in my life because I've been doing the Ho'oponopono work. Doesn't mean that I caused their healing. I caused my version of healing within myself, which then allowed me to perceive of a reality where that person is more healed. So it's very interesting the way reality works, but Ho'oponopono is a very powerful process, very deep metaphysical process. And if you want, there is a meditation in the top of the description box below that will show you. You just follow along the 4 statements. You say it consistently. It will change your energy field. Listen to it for 21 days and watch how it changes your life. So I'll go ahead and link that in the top of the description box. Now, the second technique that I'm going to share with you is one that I've done 2 or 3 times that does work very well. Okay, this is what you do. This is recognizing what you want. Write down a letter. You could say a letter to your higher self. You could call it our higher self. The higher aspect of us, which from the law of one says that our higher self is a mid-6 density being. We all have a higher self that's in mid-6 density. So instead of we're writing a letter to that version, I was saying, this is what we want to experience in our life. Make sure it's more grounded in characteristics of like emotions you want, rather than like, I want Ferrari. Higher self, I want Ferrari. Please bring me Ferrari. I want to win lottery. Please. Instead of that, say I'd like to be doing what I'm very passionate about, be in such abundance and adding value to people. Have a more of a pure intention. That's at least my experience. That I've had best results from is having that more pure intention. Now, this is what you do. You write down a list of stuff that you want, but more characteristics you want to embody. And what you do is you kind of write it out like it's to your higher self, and then what you do is you simply trust that somehow your higher self is going to bring it to you, and what you do is you burn it. How would you burn it? You want it. You burn it because you say, I trust that my higher self is going to bring this to me. The burning is just a ceremonial ritual you can do that will allow you to know that as you watch it burn, you're letting it go and you're going to allow your higher self to do its thing. Because imagine it like this too. When you have that, of the best case scenario that you can imagine as your ego, that's the floor to your higher mind. Allow your higher mind to bring it through even more amazing. And that's something that can happen. I've done this before with many different things in my life. I've also done it in healing type rituals, healing past memory and letting go of things. And when you do that, it's a permission slip that we use to give ourselves permission to shift to a parallel reality. So that will also help you, because when you let go, and the burning or the throwing away or the shredding of that paper will allow you to see, I am letting go. It's just a ritual that says, I am letting go. I am letting my higher self do its thing. So that's something I found to be very powerful as well. Now, the third technique that I have is one of my favorites. Okay, this is what you do. You do and are completely 100% spontaneous sometimes. Okay, when you do the same things every day, you get the same results every day. When you do something spontaneous, what happens is you step into uncertainty. When you step into uncertainty, you allow a new probability, something new to come along, something new to happen. Nothing miraculous can happen in thinking the same thoughts, doing the same things, and feeling the same emotions. Something miraculous comes when you step into the unknown. So we have the known, we have the unknown. When we're in the known, the only thing that can happen is everything that's happened in the past, and we're in kind of like a straitjacket. But when you step into the unknown, it might be a little bit, whoa, what could happen here? But in the unknown of, whoa, what could happen? Something really cool could happen. So it's about being more spontaneous. Do something you've never done before. Go out and go to some type of yoga class. Sometimes what I do is when I'm driving home, just from the gym, some simple, it's a very small version of it, I'll take a completely different route home. Because my mind isn't able to go straight to that thing. And when you do something that you've never done before, what happens is the brain goes, whoa, I gotta start making new connections here. And because I have to start making new connections, I'm gonna make new assumptions about how reality is and about how I relate to reality. And in those new assumptions is when you can start to create a new neural network, which with that new neural network comes a new type of experience, a new type of way of relating to the world where change and transformation can happen. It also tells yourself, yo, I'm the kind of person that can do things I've never done before, get new type of results, and you also expand your consciousness. You expand your scope of perception for how you perceive the world. So these are the three things that you can do, that you can begin to apply in your life, that will begin to create a shift in your life. Now understand this though, you are shifting whether you're aware of it or not. Some people go in every day to work, they do the same things, have the same emotions, and they experience the same things over and over and over again. They're shifting, they're just not aware of it. But they're also shifting to the same type of thing over and over again. The key is creating a greater degree of change. If you want to create a greater degree of change, you have to be able to change your identity. Change your identity. The strongest human desire there is to remain consistent to the way that we define ourselves. So if we always define ourselves as a shy person, as somebody that can only accomplish and make $50,000 a year, as this and as this and as this, then guess what? The ego will do everything it can to be right. Even subconsciously, like, I don't really want to, I want to make more than $50,000 a year. Well, if your ego says, no, that's not the kind of person you are, and you have to be right, maybe part of you sabotages yourself. Well, that's the ego trying to remain consistent to the way it defines itself. What I found to be the most powerful thing to do is to focus purely on shifting your level of consciousness. Because when you shift your level of consciousness, you're in a higher vibration, and then you can create things that you want easier than ever. So something else, I'm going to make this video go live when the Shift Experience webinar is live, and what you can do is join and have a mini shift experience yourself, plus learn SHIFT, which is the key to creating an instant shift in your life. I reveal all of that for the first time in the top of the description box below, and you can join that webinar, and I'll show you how to really create this shift in your life. And it's both a shift in consciousness, a shift in your vibration. It's really a shift in identity, and you can experience that for yourself. So remember, the three quantum jumps you can experience is, first off, change your assumptions, change your expectations, going in with a fresh attitude, and even seeing people as maybe more positive when you used to see them as negative. Visualize something, write it down on a piece of paper, state it as if you have it, and then let it go to your higher mind and burn it in a safe way or shred it. And then thirdly, what you can begin to do is to just be, I like to go this way, be spontaneous, because when you're spontaneous, you're in a completely new vibration and you create amazing things in your life. So, with that being said, another thing is I have more videos coming out like this, where I'm walking around, we're a lot more spontaneous, I guess you could say. And the only way you're going to see them is if you hit the notification bell, because the way YouTube does it for some reason is you have to hit the notification bell to see the daily vids. So hit the notification bell if you haven't already. I got some cool videos coming. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like it if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell like I mentioned a minute ago. See the autopilot mind likes to do its thing. And I'll see you later. Peace, much love, and namaste.